Today we're going to talk about where we would go if we could time travel.
Can we go forward? Because I'm trying to see if I get married at all. Hey, what's up, everybody?
I'm Ranuma.
And I'm Iz.
And welcome to the R&I Podcast.
Welcome.
What's up, guys? What is up? How's everyone doing in this lovely Wednesday evening?
It's a beautiful day today. It's a beautiful day.
Hopefully it's not windy. Super windy, you know.
It was windy yesterday, I think.
Yeah. So we're gonna talk about, if we can go anywhere, like a certain place, and time travel. It could be in the past, it could be in the future. I think most of us wants to go to the past. For those who are like, is over here, who wants to see if they got married, they go in the future. So
that's a legit reason. Well, aside from traveling through time, we gotta have like, things that we cannot do, like kind of like restrictions. So do we have any of those?
Yeah. So there's three of them. So number one, you cannot touch anything. Number two, you can't talk to anyone. And the third one is you have 24 hours to do all this. So you gotta like, I guess that whole you have 24 hours doesn't really count, but think of it as like you have this capsule and you have 24 hours before that capsule depletes. Where would you go?
I see.
Well,
let me start by saying I would probably go to China 220 BC. And let me tell you why. Because that's where the mighty Li Xin lives. And he was one of the generals that helped unify China. And the only reason why is because I'm actually reading this manga about this guy, Li Xin, from, growing up from a young kid to becoming this supreme general in, the Han Dynasty into the Qin Dynasty. And in the manga, he is actually a war orphan. So he was like orphaned off because, there was a war and whatnot. He learns how to fight with another kid who was orphaned off as well. And they both did bouts, like real bouts every day. They did about 1,000 bouts. And they were at like, I think they were like 10, 11 years old, or maybe 12. And so they've been fighting every day. And so I kind of want to see, like, was that how the real Li Xin was? I mean, I don't even know if Li Xin is actually real. I just know that that's the time frame. And I do know that they were unified, or China was unified back in that time. And, but it was really cool to see in the manga and then to actually see, the storyline behind him. And, you've probably seen him if you've played Kingdom of Fighters or anything like that. Like, Li Xin is all up in there. And that's one of the reasons. Another one would be to watch his battles along with Wang Jian and Wang Ben, and all of their individual battles, which actually made them become amazing generals. And also being able to see how 38-year-old Qin Shi Huang and how he became the first emperor of China. I mean, he's not even 40 yet, and he's an emperor. And I don't know how emperors roll, but I'm assuming that's pretty young, right?
I mean, when I think of emperors like the ones that are like really wise. So yeah, they're gonna be like a little older. 38 years old, man. I think if I was 38, like I'll be still working my way up there to become emperor. But man, he sounds pretty young right now to be an emperor.
Yeah, for real.
I guess he found his groove, so.
He got his groove back. No. Oh. Sorry, guys, got a phone call.
Looks like Iz got his groove back.
Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, so my first one actually is Egypt, 2500 BC. So I've always liked, all the what do they call them, the glyphics or the hieroglyphics on the temple walls or inside of the pyramids, the tombstones or the mummies and all that. And it's interesting to see how the pyramids were actually built, because today we have all these cranes and all the heavy lifters and all that can easily build the pyramids and stack them up just right to make them look flawless. But how did they do it back in the day? Like, how long did it take for them to even build it? And we also got the pharaohs that were the rulers back then, or the emperors, if you will. It's kind of like I want to see how their mannerisms are, because every ruler every ruler, I guess, every emperor, pharaoh, has their own ways of doing things. But I guess in Egypt they work them. Then they can pick up the big old boulders and make them also like straight, But and then we got the big old statues, like you see in the movies, like the Mummy Returns or whatnot. The big old statues of Anubis and all the other ones. Like what material are they even using in there? And again, how are they making it that yay tall? It's like super way up there. Like you're looking up, like, okay,
right?
Did they have like angels or some bird, flying the stuff up top there? Like
right.
Or they're like cliff hanging.
Actually, is ancient Egypt like any trope to how you got your name, Ranuma?
Not exactly.
No.
It would actually be my I call them my alter ego is Anubis.
Yeah, there you go.
Anubis is the god of judgment. So when I'm feeling like not Ranuma, I'm feeling like Anubis. I want to be like the bad guy, but still kind of be like, Scorpion from Mortal Kombat, Anyways, no spoilers there. Haha. But yeah, that's how I got that. And like I said, I liked looking into ancient Egypt, and I mean, you can attest to this too. Like we got Yugi,
Yu-Gi-Oh, yep,
yeah,
Millennium
Yu-Gi-Oh,
Piece, yep,
Exodus,
oh
and
my
all
gosh,
that stuff. So, it all tied in and everything. But yeah, that's my first one.
Okay. Actually, that is pretty interesting. The ancient Egypt is, or has like so much history, like, and like I even had a conversation about Egypt and how the Egyptian pharaohs used to. Well, you know what? Actually, I can't fact check it, so I won't state it exactly. But I do know that there was a form of slavery there, and it really kind of it was like the root of prejudice of the past, and it was back in the ancient Egypt. But don't quote me there. But
yeah,
that I believe that's where it started. But
I want to say the same thing too, though, and I try to steer away from that.
Yeah,
it's funny that you brought that up, because I was trying to. It was on the tip of my tongue where I wanted to say, like
yes,
but no, I call them workers.
Yeah, because along the lines, what they were doing was like the pharaohs or the people, the officers. What they would do, they would split people up by like look or ethnicity, or you know what I mean. And then they would give one person power while the other people didn't. And so, with the people that didn't have power normally saw someone that didn't look like them, they would only see authority. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then you take that away, and so basically it was the way for the higher ups to control. And I'm like, but like I said, don't fact check, or don't quote me, because I still have to fact check it. Yeah. I just it was just an interesting story or a conversation I had. But all right. Anyway, going on to mine. My second one. It is Hawaii in the 600 to 300 BC, and this is a story I've always wondered about. I couldn't really find much about it because I didn't know. I don't really study too much about my own culture, which I should. Mm-hmm. But back in the day, or back in those days, there were already people apparently living on the island of Hawaii. They were called menehune, which were like small people that built like heiaus and or ponds. Now a heiau is a temple. And menehunes created these temples for them to live in and all that good stuff. But anyway, before Polynesians came onto the island, they were said to be the native of that land. And what's crazy is, like, as I grew up, menehune were known as like little spirit demons, or like,
are those just little elves or dwarf little things?
They're like dwarfs. Yeah, they're like not dwarfs. They're more like leprechauns.
Like leprechauns. Yeah,
Hawaiian leprechauns. Like the idea that I have is like this dude in like a lava and a war hat.
Yeah, I don't want to see that at night.
yeah, you don't want to see those at night. They're similar. They're different from night marches, but the menehune was the first people of that island, and then Polynesians came in from all over, like Fiji, Samoa, and all these other places. And so, I want to go back and see those people. I want to see the first Hawaiians. I was like, were they really just small people, menehunes, or like little witch doctors? I wanted to see also how Polynesians cultivated the culture, and by they brought in pigs, they brought in chickens, dogs, and even rats followed them. Ooh. Yeah. And so they bought like and they also didn't bring, but they had kalo or taro, and they had other fruits. They bought bananas, and they also ate a lot of seaweed. They created seaweed. I was just like, all right, dope. So that means that we could have possibly came with spam musubi before the Japanese came through, bringing us amazing sushi and possibly the musubi. But I want to see that. I want to see how the culture was actually started, and how Polynesians colonized the island. And then also, I started looking up how education was back in the day. So, education was limited to those who were actually, like the brighter children, like children who just, I guess, got it. I don't know. They would be studying under experts like kapunas, which are like teachers. And, if they'll go into crafting, they'll go into building, or I guess that'll be the same thing. And so on. They'll just be the next level or the next expert down the line.
Yeah.
And so I would love to see all of that happen. And I know we only got 24 hours. I would love to see maybe like a sped up version. I don't know how exactly we can see within the time frame. It's almost like we can watch it.
You can pull a flash and
right. Okay.
Into the Speed Force. I don't know.
So if we could speed it up a little bit, then I would love to see how how everything was built and all that good stuff. So that's where I would go for my second place.
Nice. Well, it's kind of like my next place. It's very similar. You want to know your roots. You want to know where your culture is from. So my next one is Philippines. 1946. I know it's not that long ago, but it was then. It was back then. 1946 is when Philippines gained independence from the U.S. And it was 4 years after President Roosevelt had rejected the Philippines to become another state, actually, or to reject the Philippines neutrality, which means that they were so close to become a state of the U.S. But that's the reason, one of the reasons why I wanted to go back to see what went down prior to that. Why didn't the United States really push for the Philippines to become a state? Why didn't the Philippines push to become a state in the U.S.? Because I was watching videos with my dad within like I think it was like a couple months ago or like 6 months ago, where he showed me like what it was like in the Philippines, and it really looked like the 1950s over here in the U.S. Like everything was just so it was clean. The roads had a little bit of dirt, but it was organized. It just looked a little bit more cleaner. I mean, if you look at it now, some parts of Philippines is, you have this sense of poverty in there. We got some bad areas, but it's kind of like what would we see if you went back into like 1946 in the Philippines? So I just wanted to know how it all went down, and how their mannerisms were, just like kind of like how how ancient Egypt was, even though that was like 2500 BC. So yeah, it's another one of those things where I kind of wanted to see where or how it went down back then.
I do remember that a lot of the Philippines history is actually pretty intense. From after
Yeah.
the Spain, this was it the Spain invasion.
Yeah, so a lot of countries had unfortunately dominated Philippines. We got the Spanish, we got the Spanish conquistadors, we got Magellan did his conquest over there too. We also had China, Japan. So yeah, there were a lot, and I think England had a little small part in there too, because of the U.S. involvement. But a lot of different race and different cultures, backgrounds had stepped foot into that land. So it's pretty interesting to see, like after the fact.
Right. Is there what was the name of the original people of the land? Like how like Australia has the Aboriginals, and then you have the Mayans. You know what I mean? Like what was did the Philippines have people like that?
Yeah. So when I researched it, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna bring it up because I don't want to say the wrong thing here. So let's see. So it's kind of like they're called Filipinas or Filipinos, and it was named after King Philip. That's the guy. So it was from King Philip II, a Spanish explorer. He was the one who named the islands of the Philippines, or las Islas Filipinas, or Philippine Islands, and it was from Spain. Again,
Okay.
Spanish. So, so the Spanish had ruled Philippines for about 3 centuries, and then the U.S. Kind of occupied it for about 48 years.
Okay.
So, and that's what I was saying. I'm like, okay, so why didn't U.S. and Philippines kind of join
Team up?
forces? Yeah,
Yeah.
like they spent all that time, So it's kind of like I almost want to say I kind of want to know what happened prior to 1946 in Philippines, because obviously something went down, and I think there had to be something that went down with the Filipino president at the time, Rizal, who wanted to he wanted to be separate, like he wanted to be his own entity, kind of like how Japan was, but again, that's another good reason to kind of go back then and see what went down. The next one I have is Sacramento, California. I'm like, who wants to go back? 19 years ago. This guy, why? So Sacramento, California, in the year 2002. correct me if I'm wrong, because we're in the same age, we're the same grade. We 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 graduated what in 2006, right?
Yeah.
So we were freshmen in high school.
Yes. Yes,
So
we were.
we were fresh meat in high school. All right. um, I that was when okay. So a little backstory. I had lost my brother in 2005. So this I'm talking about Sacramento, California, 2002. Um, s- growing up as kids, you don't really remember all those things. You don't remember all the fights. Sometimes you do, and you don't remember the other times you got along. What I do remember are the times where, um, like transitioning from middle school over to high school. He was there. He was a senior. My brother was a senior, and I was a freshman. And so it was that year when we actually created, like, we solidified our bond as in brotherhood. And so I kind of wanted to see how we really interacted, because I always thought to myself, like, we were so mean to each other, but then again we were like, we talk crap to each other, and then we're like best friends all of a sudden,
Right.
brothers. But I never, like, to me, how as humans we always remember the bad, so we always remembered all the negative stuff because it sticks to you. So I always remember all the fights that we had. So I want to go back and just see, like, did we even have any peaceful times? Did we even have, like, those times where we, like, hung out and have fun, laugh and stuff? And not only that, but I always wanted to see the house that we grew up in, before it got painted different colors, before the basketball court got sent to the trash.
Oh,
A lot
wow.
of things. So and to freshman year is when it was a highlight, for me, because it's when I really started to get into songwriting as well. So right now it's kind of like I'm in a writer's block, a really long writer's block. So I haven't been writing for a while because all of the streaming work and vlogging.
Right.
When you do this, you go back and it's kind of like, what really motivated me to write songs? So you get to see
Right.
it in a kind of like a third person view, while you see yourself getting, heartbroken or getting thrown in the garbage or whatever, because it's high school.
Right. Right.
So yeah, that's Sacramento, California, 2002. I know it's not a long time ago, but it is for
That
me.
was almost 2 decades ago, bro.
Yeah, right. So
That is a
that's
long time
time.
That's a long time ago. When you said 19 years ago, I was like, "Excuse me, really?"
Okay, my math was
Dang.
way off. All right, my math was way
No,
off.
you were on it. I was just like, "Oh my goodness, 19 years." And it's funny because you said freshman year, and I was like, I was a freshman at the same time. That was 19 years ago.
Yeah, so it's like one of those things. Like, we always talked about, we went to parties, we went to, like, these meets, we went to, like, we did, like, dance battles and stuff. Like, okay, but what about in high school? What went down in high school? Like,
Right.
did a lot of this happen?
Yeah, man. If I went back to high school, I mean, we have restrictions, so I can't really say it. But like, I'll be like, "Yo, go back to my crush back in high school," and be like, and then, like, like back in the day, actually, I used to be very, I wasn't 100% shy, but with girls that I did like, I was very shy towards.
Yeah.
But everybody's like, "Oh, you're not shy," but dude, singing for the girl that you like as as a kid that used to sing a lot in school, like that was tough, man.
Mhm.
So, like, I don't know. I think I gained like this really toxic way of getting a girl's attention
Oh,
by
man.
singing off to the side. So then she'll just turn around, and I'm like, "Hey," you know what I'm saying? I know, like the inside is like, "Shut up, Is. What are you doing?" But yeah. I mean, that would be me. If you go back to like. I don't want to say her name. I'm not going to say her name. Won't say her name.
Nah.
But
That girl.
But that girl, yeah, that girl. But yeah, I try. I didn't even try to actually ask her out. Like, I was just like trying to play it cool. Like, I don't even like you like that, dude. I did.
Wow.
I did. And then I moved to Hawaii. So like I was in my freshman year, I was in Alaska in Anchorage.
Yeah.
And then same year I went to Hawaii. And then my sophomore year I went back to Alaska.
Dang. So you went back and forth.
I'm going all over the place in 2002. But yeah, so anyway, so this is actually my final place that I would go to, and it is Japan 1560.
Oh man, hold up. I'm gonna go ahead and say my last one is Japan 1603. All right, let's do this. Let's do this.
Okay. So we about like maybe 20 or 40 years difference. Okay, so
hey, that's not a lot. It's a lot, but you know.
Right. So
awesome.
I don't think I've ever brought it up anywhere, but Nobunaga or Oda Nobunaga is my favorite general so far, but it's only based off of the media. I don't really actually know how everything went down because I believe that like, well, maybe I do know, but I don't really trust that. I just would rather kind of get it from someone who's from Japan rather than like Wikipedia. But, Oda Nobunaga from his wiki, media stuff and all that and all Google and everything like that. He had an amazing run trying to unite Japan, and I just love how he was ruffling everybody's feathers up. Mm-hmm. I mean, he did an incredible thing around the warring states of Japan, and this is when like samurais like freaking, or excuse me, samurai were like freaking like cutting everybody up, and even the innocents would get like involved, well, not involved, but they would get they'd be like fodder to war. It'd be war fodder. That's how they explain it. And I'm just like, oh gosh. Yeah. But yeah, so Oda Nobunaga would probably be the guy that I'm watching throughout this whole time I'm in that era of Japan. And of course, for those of you who've watched throughout, you guys know that I'm into anime heavily and manga as well. So, and also, Japanese dramas too. And they do a lot of period dramas where people portray Oda Nobunaga. And so, because of that, it actually brings me to my next reason, as within Nobunaga, of course, is his relationship with his wife, Nohime, or Kicho. Or she was like, or his only wife, excuse me. And, in different, portrayals of their relationship, there was one where she was like, forced into the relationship, and, you know, she was kind of like, how would I say, isolated from the world. And then there's other portrayals where, he absolutely adored her, but he was, but because of his ambitions, he kind of kept himself away from her or stuff like that. Like there's different portrayals of that relationship, but I would love to see the real relationship. The most recent portrayal was where where she was actually slowly falling in love with Nobunaga, and but the Nobunaga that she fell in love with was a lookalike from the future. Okay, so like I said, this is like it's from media, so I don't know the context if it's real or not. You know, for those who are from Japan and know more of the culture than I do, but it was from a Japanese drama where this kid who looks like Nobunaga goes into some kind of portal and ends up in the same era as the real Oda Nobunaga, and in the beginning of the show, it's portrayed as Kicho or Nohime is actually like kind of forced into the relationship, and neither her or Nobunaga feel any kind of attraction for each other. There's just kind of, it's like a military wedding almost, you know?
Yeah.
And then slowly at the end, the kid becomes, he all of his ideas is obviously from the future because he's already knows what happens. And, what's crazy about at the end, no, I'm not going to say it. You guys are going to have to watch it. But the guy who plays Oda Nobunaga, you guys may recognize him in the Godzilla versus, Kong movie. He was Oguri Shun, and he played Oda Nobunaga. So go ahead and look out for that Japanese drama, and go ahead and like tell everybody how you got to, watching that.
Man, we should be sponsored by now.
I know, right? And also kind of go back to how Nobunaga and the samurai used to, get innocents involved on accident. Of course, I mean, it's not like they were trying to kill him, but like,
right.
Or maybe they were. I'm not sure, but innocents would get involved. So in certain areas of Japan, specifically like in the Iga Mountain and or the Koga Mountains. I think right now they're called the Mai and Shiga prefectures. In southern Honshu. They were residents. They were just normal people, and they would always, get hurt during these wars that these nobles were having over land and trying to all the conquest, that's going on. So what they did, what these residencies of Iga and Koga did, they started to learn techniques of espionage and medicine and warfare and assassination, and they ended up being called, or they called themselves Yamabushi, or ninjas.
Ooh.
And this is only 20 years after what I was talking about with Oda Nobunaga, which is in 1560. So there was a great ninja battle, or the greatest ninja battle of 1581, and it talks about how the ninjas, or the ninja, came to be. So that is another reason as to why I chose that era.
Wow.
Love it.
Yeah, I mean, I think yours is a little bit more specific than mine. So Japan 1603, obviously that's when I looked into it and it says that's when samurai start to emerge. But I guess in 1560, it was evident that they have started in that time frame.
I think. Oh no, samurai are. I think you might be right about when they began. Samurai are vessels, I believe. And I don't think they were called samurai when Oda
they didn't really
Nobunaga
have a name, right? Until,
yeah, they were just like
I guess,
swordsmen.
1603.
Yeah, I believe, maybe.
Yeah.
But go on.
So 1603 in Japan, start of the Edo period, where samurais were the top military ranks in Japan. Two reasons why I would want to go there is to see, number one, how they were trained, the way of the samurai. Number two, what would happen if they don't become one, like, or if they fail.
Right.
And so those are just like very basic things. I didn't go off. Yours just like, oh man, that's a lot of detail. Like,
I am very
That's pretty,
I love the
Japanese
interesting culture. Yeah. Actually, so if I'm correct about this, the samurai, you become one by being chosen by a lord. So like a politician, Politician has their people that work with them, and like, oh, I'm a politician of this region, and you will be my vessel, and that will be the samurai. Samurai are people who serve lords. And that's why you've heard of ronins, right?
Yeah,
Ronin?
yeah.
Yeah,
They're
those
like
are
the special
masterless
ops.
samurai. No, they're masterless. They don't have a master anymore. So that's if their
so
lord
Ronin are
dies.
like rogues.
Yeah, they're rogues. Yeah, ronins.
Ronin
So yeah, so samurai is they're just warriors that they're like
They don't have a
thug
leader,
for hire
basically.
almost. Yeah, they have So ronins don't have leaders, or they lost their leader.
So
or
are
can't
they
find
considered mercenaries then, or
yes.
they just
or
do
well, it all
whatever?
depends. It all depends because they have to be hired. So they would be hired. Yeah. But it's normally from lords. Only lords can have samurai, I believe. Yeah.
It's so crazy because it's kind of like they're, like you said, they're masterless. Like what? Are they like stray dogs all of a sudden? Like what the heck?
Yeah. Basically, yeah.
But then
Because,
they're rogue and everything. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, because to be a samurai, it takes a lot of honor.
Yeah.
like after you do like a battle, you're supposed to commit seppuku or harakiri, and there's supposed to be you're supposed to get a secondary, and normally it's your enemy, right? And it's supposed to be an honorable death. And I was just like, oh dang, okay,
like the Last Samurai.
Yeah, yep. And I believe also in the Edo period, you said that's where the top military. Okay, so in the Edo period, have you ever watched Rurouni Kenshin?
Yes.
So there was the oh man, I forgot the military. I forgot the military that was called, but it was the military versus samurai, I believe. Or like it was, or the imperial, there's the imperial military versus the, jeez, I'm brain farting right now. But the imperial military was super strong, super strong. Like, I mean, bro, and
yeah, I'm drawing a huge blank right now.
Oh my gosh, yeah, same here. But anyway. Going back to in the Edo period, the military was actually getting rid of the samurai. They're trying to get rid of the samurai and nearing the end of the Edo period, going into, I believe, the Maeda period.
That makes sense.
Mewa, I think. And so, so it's so cool, like learning about the wars before the Edo. Or right before the Edo period, going into the Edo period, because that's when they started doing more developing in technologies and stuff like that. It was super cool.
Yeah, it is the Imperial Army.
Okay.
Like Yamagata Aritomo, he was born in June 14, 1838. So yeah, that's like I'm almost certain that Rurouni Kenshin was super it's kind of like it's the anime of what basically happened
in that time,
you know, it's crazy because it's towards the age where it's nearing the end of samurais, like you said. But that's pretty interesting.
Dude,
I didn't think of it that way.
Bro, yeah, so like when Oda Nobunaga's story, like when I started reading it, like I was just like, this is absolutely amazing. This is so cool. And their honor system was even better. And I was just like, man. And then of course, like I didn't like how the innocents were involved, because, well, we live in a time of peace, you know what I'm saying? So it's a little different, but man, it's insane the things that went down back in the day. Insane.
Yeah. And the way things were handled were a lot different than today, for sure. So,
Yeah, and so, I believe that these are pretty, like, decent time frames that we would love to see. I mean, we could only really see. Could they see us? Is that could they see us?
That's the thing. I think we would have to blend in. I don't know. No.
No, because we can't even touch them.
Yeah.
It'd be funny if they could touch us. Yeah,
we're just visualizing. We're just in there. We're just
right.
It's like 4D entertainment, I guess.
That's what it is. But anyway, what about you guys? Like, where would you guys want to go? Like, go ahead and put in the comments below and tell us where would you want to see or go to in time.
Yeah.
And what would you want to see? Like, you can go in the future. Like, we didn't really put anything in the future. But you
Except
guys can.
He really wanted to talk about who he's gonna marry, but he's.
I mean, if it's gonna be, Jung Yun from Twice, then let it be. But anyway, yeah. Tell us below in the comments.
Right, and you cannot touch anything. Number 2, you can't talk to anyone, and you have 24 hours to do all this.
Also, you can speed stuff up. Apparently,
yeah.
Like you're watching a show. You're like, oh, go here.
Like fast forward.
Yeah, there you go.
So that's why I split mine into like 4 categories. I was thinking I could spend like 6 hours each, maybe if I don't sleep. I don't know.
I do 3 so I can have at least 8 hours.
I know I should have done that too, but I'm pretty sure one of the 4 is going to be shortened down. or
For
I
sure.
don't want to like really look into it. But yeah, man, that's
But yeah.
those are my places.
Yes, sir. So thank you guys for listening. And Ranuma, take us home.
All right. So that wraps up this episode. Huge thank you to Wet Wong Media. Don't forget to like us on Facebook.
Follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Like, comment down below, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. All the links are down below. Thanks again for tuning in.
See you next
later
time.